Welcome back to TimeShift. Today, we're diving into a fascinating what-if scenario. Imagine if one of the most pivotal moments in American history had taken a different turn. What if President Abraham Lincoln had survived the assassination attempt on April 14, 1865? How would the course of American history have changed? Would we see a more unified nation, a different approach to civil rights, and perhaps a world where political violence is viewed very differently? Let's dive into this alternative history and explore the possibilities. April 14, 1865, a night that could have been very different. Imagine Lincoln being just slightly luckier or more protected and surviving John Wilkes Booth's assassination attempt. Instead of a nation mourning its fallen leader, America sees a beacon of hope. Lincoln, determined and inspired by his near-death experience, intensifies his efforts to heal a nation torn apart by civil war. Lincoln's vision for the Reconstruction era was vastly different from the punitive measures that were later enacted. In this alternate timeline, he pushes forward with his malice toward none approach, focusing on reconciliation rather than retribution. The South, though defeated, is treated with a degree of dignity, reducing the animosity that brewed in the actual post-war years. Freedmen receive more robust support for their integration into society, including land, education, and protection of their civil rights. The Freedmen's Bureau is strengthened, and with Lincoln's leadership, it's able to establish a foundation for racial equality that we can only dream of today. Lincoln surviving the assassination changes the trajectory of the civil rights movement dramatically. His leadership sets the stage for the 14th and 15th Amendments to not just pass, but to be enforced rigorously. In this alternate timeline, Jim Crow laws never gain the same foothold, and the Ku Klux Klan is swiftly suppressed by federal intervention. Imagine a United States where the civil rights movement isn't delayed by a century, but starts gaining momentum in the late 19th century. Lincoln's vision of an America where all men are created equal isn't just a lofty ideal. It's a work in progress with tangible steps forward. By the early 20th century, African Americans are achieving representation and opportunities that were historically denied to them. With a stronger foundation of equality, the civil rights movement in the 1960s could look more like a consolidation of rights, rather than a battle to earn them. With Lincoln at the helm for a second term, the political climate of America shifts significantly. The Republican Party, under Lincoln's leadership, champions a more progressive and unifying agenda. The party's platform focuses on building a strong, inclusive nation where the federal government works to ensure equal opportunities for all citizens. This early commitment to inclusivity and civil rights sets the stage for a less polarized political environment. Fast forward to the 20th century, the political landscape of America is different. The Republican Party, having established itself as a champion of civil rights and unity under Lincoln, maintains a more centrist approach. This balance creates a political environment where compromise is more achievable and extreme partisanship is less prevalent. Imagine a world where the two-party system doesn't spiral into deep polarization, but rather promotes a more collaborative governance. Lincoln's influence isn't confined to the domestic front. As a leader with a vision for global diplomacy, he extends his principles of unity and equality to international relations. He pushes for America's involvement in promoting democracy and human rights abroad, but with a more cooperative and less interventionist approach than we saw in the 20th century. Lincoln's America leads by example, becoming a beacon of democracy and human rights. His approach could have set a precedent for a more collaborative international community. The League of Nations, for example, might have gained stronger support from the U.S., preventing some of the isolationist tendencies that occurred in the early 20th century. Imagine a world where the United States takes a more active yet cooperative role in global affairs, fostering a spirit of international collaboration. In this alternate history, Lincoln's survival has a ripple effect through time. His legacy inspires generations of leaders to pursue a vision of unity, equality, and peaceful progress. By the time we reach the 21st century, the United States is a more inclusive and less divided nation. Racism and discrimination still exist, but they're less institutionalized, less ingrained in the fabric of society. Now let's draw a parallel to another iconic figure, John F. Kennedy. In our timeline, Kennedy was assassinated in 1963, a tragic event that shocked the nation. However, in our alternate timeline where Lincoln survived, perhaps the attitude towards political violence would have been different. Kennedy's progressive vision might have found a more receptive public, and perhaps the societal emphasis on unity and dialogue over violence could have prevented such an act. Fast forward to 2024 and the recent attempted assassination of Donald Trump. While in our reality, the event created shockwaves and intensified the divide, imagine if in this alternate history, Lincoln's survival had set a precedent for nonviolent resolution of political differences. Political violence might be seen as a rare, almost unthinkable occurrence. Leaders, no matter how controversial, would be protected not just by security, but by a society that values discourse over conflict. In this world, political discourse, even when heated, remains within the bounds of respect and unity. The idea of resorting to violence against political opponents is not just condemned, but unthinkable. Lincoln's near assassination serves as a powerful reminder that violence is never the path to progress. So, what do you think? If Abraham Lincoln had survived, could we have seen a more unified and progressive America? A country where civil rights advanced earlier, political polarization was less severe, and international diplomacy was guided by principles of cooperation rather than conflict? Could Kennedy have led without the shadow of assassination, and would recent attempts on leaders like Trump be met with universal disdain rather than division? It's a hopeful vision, one that reminds us of the potential we have to create a better world. History is full of turning points, and it's fascinating to think about how different choices and events could have shaped our world. If you enjoyed this deep dive into an alternate reality, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to TimeShift. We've got more thought-provoking scenarios coming your way, so turn on those notifications. And let us know in the comments, what do you think would have happened if Lincoln had lived? How different would our world be today? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.